My mother wanted to raise my younger sister, Qiu, into a gentle, sweet bride, just like the female leads in novels. Every day, she forced Qiu to drink milk, bathe in milk for hours, until even Qiu's burps and farts smelled of milk. Not only that, but mother also made her wear a midriff-bearing top to kindergarten, claiming her cute, round belly would surely attract the attention of young CEO types. But Qiu would come home, hugging me and sobbing, saying her classmates called her disgusting. That evening, I found countless real-life examples to persuade mother, begging her not to let herself be poisoned by the gentle female lead trope in novels. After that, my mother stopped forcing Qiu to become a gentle bride. Many years later, when Qiu was in high school, she liked a cold academic ace but was rejected after confessing her feelings. At that moment, my mother brought up the past. "I told you," she said, "men always prefer gentle girls. If your sister hadn't stopped me back then, if I had raised you to be a gentle girl, you wouldn't have failed your confession now." And so, Qiu harbored resentment in her heart, deciding to poison me. When I opened my eyes again, I realized I had returned to the day my mother decided to raise Qiu into a gentle bride. I decided that from today on, I would seriously execute the gentle bride plan. Mother's hearty laughter pulled me out of the fear of my past life. I dazedly looked around, realizing I was sitting on the balcony doing homework. The agonizing pain of the poison corroding my internal organs was gone. I initially thought this was just a hallucination before death, but the sunlight outside the window was so warm, so real. Qiu wrapped her arms around my arm, gently shaking it. "Sister, I don't want to be a gentle bride. I just want to be like other kids, playing in the park." I stared blankly at the arm Qiu was holding for a long moment before reacting. I really had come back to life, returned to the day mother decided to turn Qiu into a gentle bride. That year, Qiu was only 5 years old, her tender face full of innocence. In my previous life, it was because I wanted to protect that innocence so much that when mother announced her gentle bride plan, I stepped forward to stop it. But the result was Qiu, heartbroken by unrequited love, poisoned me to death. I couldn't believe that my beloved younger sister would hand me a poisoned bubble tea. When I cried for help in agony, she even pushed me into the cold, deep sea. The pain of my internal organs being torn apart, my limbs being gnawed by fish and shrimp, was nothing compared to the pain of being betrayed by my own sister. As my body sank to the bottom of the sea, I prayed to the heavens again and again. If only I could have a chance to do it all over again, I would never interfere in this matter again. Fortunately, heaven had mercy on me, allowing me to live again. "Sister, what's wrong?" Qiu shook my arm again, pulling me out of my suffocating memories. I pushed her away, making her fall onto the ground. Qiu immediately burst into tears. Watching her cry, a hint of pleasure welled up inside me, but it wasn't enough. When my mother was about to approach and ask what happened, I stepped towards her, smiling. "Mother, didn't you want to turn Qiu into a gentle bride?" I've noticed that in novels, gentle brides are often both delicate and resilient. Outwardly, a gentle female lead, inwardly, a pitiful little girl. My mother looked at me, half believing, half doubting. "Didn't you always oppose me raising Qiu to be a gentle bride? Yesterday, you said it wasn't good." I interrupted mother, smiling. "That was yesterday. Today, I've changed my mind. Who says a gentle bride isn't good? A gentle bride is wonderful. Qiu's name is already destined for her to be a gentle bride. With your guidance, she's sure to become a beloved bride adored by thousands." With my support, mother became even more enthusiastic. That afternoon, she went online and ordered more than a dozen cartons of fresh milk, along with all sorts of children's bowls, spoons, and cups. When the delivery person knocked, mother hurriedly pushed 5-year-old Qiu to open the door. Qiu was even shorter than the doorknob, straining on tiptoes to reach it, but she couldn't. The delivery person outside grew impatient and knocked twice more, scaring Qiu to the point of tears. Only then did my mother slowly approach. I thought she was going to open the door, but to my surprise, she squatted down and told Qiu, "Cry again from the beginning, haven't I taught you how to cry? A gentle bride must cry like a pear blossom in the rain, both pitiful and beautiful, not like a wailing ghost. Do it again." I stared in astonishment at the scene before me. It turned out that without my intervention, mother had become this crazed. I dared not imagine how tragic Qiu's future life would be. Qiu, intimidated by mother, dared not cry loudly anymore. She tried hard to hold back her tears, her small, pale face, red eyes, and rosy nose looking incredibly pitiful, exactly the image of a gentle bride in her childhood. Only then was my mother satisfied. She helped Q open the door. After the door opened, she immediately ran back to her room to check the camera. She deliberately left Q alone to face the man outside, simply because she read in novels that, regardless of age, men would be captivated by a female lead's pitiful appearance at first sight. Q wore a light pink crop top, her small, round belly exposed, with a tight leather skirt underneath. Honestly, I admired my mother for being able to find so many bizarre outfits for children. In short, Q's entire outfit looked ridiculous, but it did indeed attract the delivery man's attention. "This child's clothes are quite unique," he muttered. "Very fashionable indeed." My mother didn't seem to grasp the sarcasm in his voice, only sat in front of the computer screen, grinning smugly. Just then I heard Q's sweet, cooing voice emanating from the computer. She stared at the delivery man with slightly red, deer-like eyes and sweetly asked, "Uncle, am I pretty?" These words were exactly what Mother had just taught Q to say. The delivery man froze. Who would have thought such a tiny girl could say something so coquettish? "You're adorable." Q blushed and followed the delivery man, watching him carry the cartons of milk into the house. Then she thoughtfully went to get a cold soda from the fridge and offered it to him. "Uncle, you're sweating. Take a break before carrying more, okay?" The delivery man, without much thought, accepted the soda and sat down at the dining table, taking a large gulp. But the very next second he froze. Q climbed onto another chair, using the hem of her shirt to wipe the sweat from his face, cooing, "Uncle, you're so sweaty. Let Q wipe it for you, okay?" Seeing Q's hand about to touch the delivery man, my mother on the side was so excited she was shaking, speaking incoherently. "It's here! It's here!" The first skin-to-skin contact between the rough male lead and the gentle female lead. This female lead cultivation story is simply brilliant. But the very next second, her anticipation turned to dust. The delivery man, startled by Q's precocious behavior, jumped out of his chair and bolted for the door, yelling as he left, "What is this? Not even as tall as my leg and already learning how to seduce men? What kind of parents raise a child like this?" The delivery man fled, not even bothering to carry the remaining milk cartons, constantly looking back as he ran, afraid Q would chase him. Watching that scene, I almost burst out laughing. My mother, however, was furious, cursing, "Useless, she even let a rough guy run away?" Because in novels, every gentle female lead has a past of failures, my mother decided to give Q a painful memory. She punished Q by making her carry the remaining 8 cartons of milk into the house herself. Q carried them, silently shedding tears, but dared not cry aloud, as that wouldn't fit the image of a gentle female lead. Occasionally, she would turn to me with pleading eyes, hoping I would advise Mother, but each time I would turn away, pretending not to see. Finally, after I finished 2 pages of homework, Q had carried all the milk into the house. Her small hands were red and chafed, but Mother still forced her to memorize the gentle female lead's catchphrase, "Oh, darling, I'm so sorry. I'm truly foolish. I can't do anything right." In a cooing voice, she continued, "Today, I'm your little kitten, meow meow falling." Her round eyes blinked mischievously. "Look at me, darling. Don't you believe me? Look at me again." Her rosy lips pouted, and her small, white feet gently rubbed against the other person's leg, as if to refuse yet invite. Facing these scenes, I truly couldn't bear to watch. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to resist interfering again, so I decided to return to my room, close the door, and study vocabulary. To give Q the appearance of a gentle female lead, my mother began forcing her to drink milk morning, noon, and night, 1 glass per meal. When thirsty, she wasn't allowed to drink plain water, only milk. In the evening, she had to soak in a milk bath. Mother said that female leads in novels were all like that, fragrant and soft, exuding a milky scent from head to toe. Even their burps, farts, or trips to the restroom had to smell of milk. Milk baths also nourished the skin, ensuring that when she grew up, her skin would be as smooth as a baby's. Some kind relatives advised that while milk was nutritious, drinking too much could backfire. My mother confidently retorted, "What do you know? My daughter will grow up smelling of milk, making everyone want to be close to her wherever she goes." Besides, men love soft skin, just one touch and they can never forget. Gradually, relatives all felt my mother had a problem and no longer wanted to interfere. My paternal and maternal grandparents also thought my mother was beyond help, so they reduced their visits. As for my father, he didn't care about QQs or my life or death. He had a new family and a beloved son. My father's mistress was exactly the type of gentle female lead, eating from a child's bowl, speaking in repetitive baby talk. That's why my mother was so stubborn about raising QQ into a gentle female lead. She believed that men loved this type of woman, and only then could QQ keep a man's heart and avoid repeating her own mistakes. She had also wanted to change me, but because I inherited my father's genes and had a large bone structure, I wasn't suitable to be a gentle female lead. In my previous life, for these reasons, I felt mother was pitiful and wanted to help her get back on the right path. But after I died, my soul followed QQ home and witnessed her confessing all her crimes to mother. Mother just quietly helped her destroy the murder evidence, took the high-value insurance policy, and moved QQ to another city to live. In the end, no one even claimed my body. Very quickly, summer vacation ended, and QQ was enrolled in kindergarten. On the way to school, mother incessantly reminded her, "At school, you must definitely build the image of a gentle bride. You must play with the boy from the wealthiest family and try to build a relationship with the most handsome boy." QQ sat in her car seat, nodding as if she understood and as if she didn't. I, meanwhile, wore headphones, completely isolating myself from the world. Upon arriving at kindergarten, mother began searching for a male lead for QQ. She noticed a boy in a small suit, exuding an air of nobility from head to toe. His family background definitely met mother's standards for an overbearing CEO, but the boy's temper seemed quite bad. From getting out of the car to the kindergarten gate, he constantly lashed out at the maid beside him, even hitting her. I reminded mother, "This boy has a bad temper. What if he harms QQ?" "Are you sure you want QQ to approach someone like that?" My mother was someone who couldn't stand being provoked. The more others said no, the more she wanted to do it. Sure enough, as soon as she heard me, she scolded me. "What do you know? Children with personality are more charismatic. Besides, he doesn't have a bad temper. He's clearly the adorably fierce type, with great potential to be an overbearing CEO. Moreover, a bad temper means he has his own story. Boys like that are destined to be male leads, and my QQ will be his savior. Through their interactions, QQ will use her actions to soften his rough edges." After saying that, mother pushed QQ out of the car. Before getting out, she whispered something into QQ's ear. Watching QQ's figure, backpack swinging, running towards the boy, my mother smiled with satisfaction, like a fangirl shipping characters. I was curious what mother had just taught QQ. Very soon, I heard QQ's sobs from a distance. "Oh, I'm really silly. I wasn't careful and fell down. Big brother, can you help me up?" QQ performed a dramatic fall on the ground, recreating the gentle female lead's crying style she had practiced countless times at home, her round eyes staring intently at the boy. My mother on the side continuously imagined the male and female leads meeting for the first time. A clumsy girl falls right in front of the male lead, and he, mesmerized by her beauty at first glance, instinctively helps her up and shields her in his arms. From then on, the threads of love begin to weave. While I was still astonished by mother's imagination, a burst of loud laughter erupted from a distance. "You're an idiot, aren't you? Falling on flat ground? You really are stupid." The boy pointed at QQ, who was lying face down on the ground, not hiding his ridicule. "You really are stupid." After saying that, he turned and lashed out at the maid behind him. "Mom said stupidity is contagious. I want to transfer schools right now. I don't want to go to school with someone like that." The boy's reaction stunned my mother for a moment, but immediately after, she seemed to realize something and broke into a smile. "Ah, it's not love at first sight, but the destined rivals trope. This little idiot just keep talking big. We'll see if he regrets it later when QQ befriends other boys in school." At the boy's taunts, QQ's small face flushed crimson. Just then, my aunt brought my male cousin. Seeing QQ fall, my cousin hurried over to help her up. Perhaps having overheard the boy's previous taunts, my cousin, indignant for QQ, pushed the boy. "How can you talk to a girl like that? My mother says girls are meant to be protected. What you said is wrong. Apologize to QQ right now." The other boy was clearly unyielding. He pushed my cousin back, annoyed. He admitted he was stupid himself. I didn't make him fall. He's stupid and I'm not allowed to say so. I'll say it anyway, stupid to death. Both sides began to shove each other. The adults and the kindergarten teacher quickly intervened. My mother, however, was displeased by the interruption, grumbling, "They really don't appreciate art. Can't you see the childhood sweethearts and the male lead arguing over the female lead? How exciting this scene is. Why did they have to interfere?" QQ stood behind my cousin, weakly pulling at his sleeve, whispering, "Big brother, don't argue with others because of me. It's my fault for being stupid and falling." The other boy seized QQ's words, turning to my cousin to prove his point. "See, he said he was stupid himself. Not just stupid, but he cries all the time too. Cries all day long. My mom says kids like that are the most annoying." After saying that, he pushed QQ and my cousin aside and quickly walked into the kindergarten. My mother looked at his retreating back, shaking her head. Typical cold CEO, he'll regret it later, but childhood sweethearts are still easier to match. Later, I'll have to take QQ to Auntie's house often. But that very afternoon, QQ came crying to me, complaining, "My cousin doesn't like me anymore either." I asked why, but she refused to say, acting as if she wanted me to guess. I understood this was also something Mother taught her. A gentle female lead must be enigmatic, not stating things directly to make the other person guess. But I didn't guess, I just let her stew. In the end, QQ was still a child. After a few minutes of silence, she couldn't help but blurt out the reason. "Today afternoon, when we were lining up for the slide, there was a big brother behind me. I couldn't hold it in, so I farted. Mother clearly said that if I drink a lot of milk, my farts will smell sweet, but he said my fart was very stinky and that he was almost suffocated by the smell. All afternoon, he wouldn't talk to me. If he saw me, he'd stay far away. The other kids in class don't like me either, saying my clothes are ugly and my exposed little belly looks disgusting. They also said my breath smells sour when I talk. Even the teacher ignores me. Sister, I don't want to be a gentle female lead anymore. Can you please talk to Mother for me? I just want to play with my friends." Seeing QQ's pitiful face, I almost softened, but logic reminded me not to interfere anymore. I pulled QQ into Mother's room, letting her talk to Mother herself. After everything I experienced in my past life, I didn't want to be the messenger between them anymore. Mother was on a video call with my aunt. Perhaps my cousin had gone home and told her about QQ's stinky fart, so my aunt, who was a pediatrician, called to inquire. "Sister, does QQ have some digestive problems? Today Yi came home and said QQ's farts are very stinky, and her breath and burps also smell sour. Can you take her to the hospital for a checkup this weekend? If left untreated, it could affect her development. Also, today I took Yi to school and saw QQ. She's clearly a size smaller than other children her age." Hearing this, the smile on my mother's face immediately froze. "What kind of talk is that? QQ is my daughter. Don't I know if she's sick or not? Her farts and burps all smell like milk. Your son just has a problem with his sense of smell. I give QQ at least 8 glasses of milk every day. Even her breath smells of milk. How could it be stinky? I think you should take your son for a checkup on his sense of smell. I even thought your Yi could become QQ's devoted second male lead, but looking at this backstabbing, just wait and see him fail to win her over." My aunt on the other end of the line was dumbfounded. "Whether Yi succeeds or fails, you are the mother of 2 children. Don't you know that children shouldn't drink too much milk? Drinking too much will destroy their body functions and have adverse effects. That's all I'm saying today. If you maintain this attitude, I have nothing more to say." After saying that, my aunt hung up. My mother pouted at the screen, then turned and saw QQ standing at the door. She immediately changed her expression, smiling gently at her. "It seems our devoted second male lead hasn't appeared yet, but it's okay. Tomorrow, Mother will personally choose one for you. Come on, my gentle female lead. Mother will take you for a milk bath." QQ didn't have the courage to tell Mother what she had just told me. She just obediently let Mother drag her into the bathroom like a puppet. I turned my face away, not looking at her pitiful eyes, silently telling myself, "Don't interfere in this matter." The next day, as Mother dropped QQ off at the kindergarten gate, the teacher called them back. "You're QQ's mother, right? I understand parents love fashion, but children should still maintain their innocence." The teacher tactfully hinted that QQ's clothing was too mature, but my mother didn't let the teacher finish, interrupting her. "Our QQ will be a gentle female lead. She doesn't need innocence. All she needs to learn is how to keep a man's heart." Nowadays, everyone supports freedom of expression in clothing. Why can't children dress fashionably? You're discriminating against our QQ. A barrage of words left the teacher speechless. The atmosphere was tense when my aunt arrived with my cousin. Perhaps because of the call last night, or because my cousin had told her about QQ's stinky farts, my aunt told my cousin to apologize. My cousin, a good child, took out a lollipop from his pocket, offered it to QQ, and said sweetly, "Sister QQ, I'm sorry. Yesterday was my fault. I shouldn't have said those things." Seeing my cousin apologize, my mother smiled brightly, clapping her hands. See. Men always come back to apologize after angering the female lead, but the Song family's conditions are only average, so he can only be a second male lead. My aunt looked at my mother, confused. "What are you talking about?" My mother maintained her smile, acting like the mother of a female lead in a novel. "Don't think one lollipop is enough to appease our QQ. Although she's a gentle female lead, she also has her personality. Your son still has a lot of work to do." My aunt frowned deeper. "What, winning her over or not winning her over? It's just a friendship between two children. Why are you twisting it like this? I heard relatives say before that you plan to raise QQ into a gentle female lead, but I didn't believe it. Turns out it's true. Sister, doing this will harm QQ." After saying that, my aunt told my cousin to go into school first, cautioning him, "If QQ does anything weird in front of you, stay away from her. And when you get home, you must tell me everything." At my aunt's actions, my mother just snorted coldly inside. A second male lead with a mother like that is definitely doomed to fail in his pursuit. Just like that, even my cousin stayed away from QQ. In class, the only person who played with QQ was gone. Every day after school, QQ returned home sullen and unhappy. Even so, she was still forced by mother to learn the necessary knowledge to become a gentle female lead. She even had to practice yoga at home. Mother said that practicing yoga would help QQ maintain a soft, approachable body, making men unable to leave her side. Gradually, from being unwilling, QQ became willing. Finally, she was so brainwashed that she believed she was born to be a gentle female lead. Every day, she voluntarily drank milk, soaked in milk baths, and practiced yoga. Her backpack didn't contain textbooks but children's bowls and chopsticks. Mother watched everything unfold as she wished, feeling immensely satisfied. Even my allowance increased. I used that money to buy many exam practice books. In my previous life, because I was busy worrying about QQ, I failed the entrance exam to a key high school and had to attend a normal one. Normal high schools weren't strict and didn't require students to live in dorms, so I had to commute home every day. After coming home, I still had to spend time supervising QQ studies. During my 3 years of high school, almost all my time outside of school was dedicated to her. In the end, I didn't get into my dream university. In this life, I was determined to pass the key high school entrance exam and leave this chaotic house to pursue my own life. I wanted to know how high and how far I could fly if I wasn't bound by mother and QQ. Time passed quickly. QQ went to high school, and I got into my dream university. I studied and worked part-time, trying to earn money so I could completely escape this family later. In this life, without my interference, QQ was no longer the all-around top student she once was. She also didn't meet the cold academic ace of my past life. Now, she completely regarded herself as a gentle female lead from a novel. At 15, under mother's careful upbringing, QQ didn't even know how to dress herself. Because mother said a gentle female lead would later live a life where food was served to her mouth and clothes were put on her body. She wouldn't need to lift a finger, just be as beautiful as a flower. On the first day of school, QQ was made to cry by her classmates. The reason was that a male student, seeing her gentle and easily bullied nature, took her perfect English textbook and threw his own tattered English book onto her desk. However, QQ, who treated the gentle female lead trope like bedtime stories, immediately imagined this to be a plot twist. She thought this male student deliberately used tricks to attract her attention. So she played the part of a resilient little flower, holding the tattered book and walking to the male student's desk. But she just stood there, saying nothing, her eyes red as if she had suffered a great injustice. The male student looked at her, confused. "Do you need something?" QQ softly replied, as sweet as cotton candy. "Can you return my book?" The male student laughed. "No, I like yours." QQ thought the male student's words had a double meaning, blushing as she replied, "But today is our first time meeting and we're still young, we can't date early, but I can give you a chance to pursue me." After saying that, she even raised 3 fingers. 3 years, okay? If you still haven't changed after graduating high school, we'll be together. QQ's words stunned the male student, who then jumped up. "What the hell are you talking about? Who likes you? Do you know what you look like? Your hair is as dry as straw, your breath smells sour. Please don't stand near me, you also have a fishy smell on you. It's disgusting." I thought these words would make QQ angry, but no. She wasn't angry, instead she blushed even more. She bent down, her body brushing past the male student, picked up the English book on the desk, and slowly stood upright. All these slow, deliberate movements were what she learned from gentle female lead novels. Hugging the book, QQ looked down, shyly saying, "I know you want to use this method to attract my attention, but doing that makes me sad. If you keep this attitude, I can only let someone else be my male lead. You'll just be a pitiful second male lead." No sooner had she finished speaking than QQ let out a milky burp. The male student couldn't stand it anymore and vomited on the spot, all over QQ. After understanding what happened, the classmates gathered around, teasing QQ. How can she be so normal yet so confident? In her eyes, are all men in the world her second male leads? And someone like this got into a key school? My God, she just burped an incredibly disgusting milky burp right in front of that male student. I'm 2 meters away and I can still smell it. The laughter and mockery of her classmates made QQ feel more ashamed than ever. She knew everyone's disgusted looks were real. QQ burst into tears, crying in an extremely unsightly manner. Although she still tried to maintain the standard crying style of a gentle lady, her face, already full of pimples from drinking too much milk, flushed red with shame, making everything even worse. The pimples on her face looked like they were about to burst and bleed pus. The classmates, in disgust, dispersed, leaving QQ alone to continue her gentle lady crying performance. That was the scene we saw through the surveillance camera. The male students' parents were furious. "Harassment, this is harassment. Teacher Zhang, you must give me an explanation." My son, on his first day of school, was disgusted to the point of stomach illness. If he has to study with a girl like this long-term, will his health endure it? What kind of students does this school recruit anyway? In 10th grade, they're already dating early and actively throwing themselves at people. What if they corrupt someone else's child? But on the other side, QQ's mother looked at the camera screen, smiling mysteriously. A classic youth romance story. Here come the male and female leads. The little puppy, to get the female lead's attention, deliberately uses lowly tactics to tease her. After they get closer, he'll definitely pursue her fiercely. 3 years later, they'll make their relationship official, and 4 years of college love from campus to a romantic wedding. My mother's unbearable words left all the teachers and parents dumbfounded. The male student's mother grew even angrier, shouting, "Are you crazy? Is your daughter sick? Or are you sick yourself? What nonsense are you talking about? Even if my son was wrong to swap books with your daughter, you shouldn't use this kind of method for revenge to disgust people. What if it leaves a psychological trauma on the child later? To play such games with your child as parents, you're truly beyond help. I'm telling you, if my son suffers any psychological impact, I will not let your daughter off the hook." QQ's mother was shoved by the male student's mother, jolting her back from her fantasy to reality. After standing upright, she brushed off her clothes, which had no dust on them, then swept a disdainful glance over everyone there. "You people are so vulgar. What's wrong with early dating? At this age, children are completely innocent and selfless. They love when they love, and they don't when they don't. It's because of parents with old-fashioned minds like yours that so many beautiful relationships are stifled in the cradle. Twisted psychology? What twisted psychology? Maybe your son is secretly delighted." The male student's mother was so furious that she burst out laughing, no longer maintaining her image, and blurted out a curse. "Delighted my foot. My son is currently on an IV drip in the hospital. Do you know how awful your daughter's breath smells? Instead of idly fantasizing, why don't you take her to get her stomach checked soon? And while you're at it, get her brain checked too. So young and already learning to latch onto boys, this is more like a fire starter. If you're sick, you need treatment." QQ's mother, who had been poisoned by romance novels for many years, didn't care. No matter what others said, she found a corresponding plot point to twist everything. At this moment, she regarded her opponent as the wicked stepmother character in a novel, coldly retorting, "Funny, truly funny, you don't understand your son at all. There are so many students in the class, why did he only swap books with QQ and not someone else? Isn't this a sign of liking but being too shy to admit it? Not wanting to directly admit love at first sight, so he came up with all sorts of ways to attract QQ's attention. How much effort did your son put in just to close the distance with her? Yet all of it was ruined by you, an uncomprehending mother. Wait until you regret it, don't come crying then." The male student's mother was so furious that her head spun, and she directly slapped QQ's mother across the face. And that was it. Finally, QQ's mother realized that things were not as she imagined. Immediately after, the two women lunged at each other. The male student's mother was stronger, so QQ's mother couldn't fight back, getting a large clump of hair pulled out and her face scratched. Finally, the school principal struggled to separate them. Regarding the incident, the school proposed a solution, transferring QQ to another class, demanding compensation for medical expenses, and warning her that if she reoffended, she would be immediately expelled. The male student was also punished with a 1,000-word self-reflection essay. After this incident, QQ became famous at school, but famous in a way that made her a laughingstock. Even so, she naively thought that those looks were because everyone was attracted to her. Not only did she not withdraw, but she deliberately overdid it. During physical education, she pretended to fall into a male student's arms, even taking the opportunity to touch someone else's abs. When lining up for food, she deliberately squeezed into crowded areas with male students to make body contact. If someone so much as glanced at her, she would interpret it as a chance encounter. Finally, due to numerous complaints from parents, QQ was expelled for repeatedly harassing male students. She was the first and only student to be expelled for this reason. She truly became famous. On the day QQ was expelled, her mother stood in front of the school gate, yelling for a full hour. This school was a place she had long targeted, spending a large sum of money and using connections to get QQ enrolled. The result was that QQ hadn't even completed one semester before being expelled. She couldn't understand it. She had clearly followed the plotlines of overbearing CEO novels to raise QQ, so why did she always fail to attract the male lead's attention? Not long after, QQ transferred to another school, a vocational school. Coincidentally, the daughter of the owner of the shop where I worked part-time was a teacher at this school. Hearing about the strange things happening to my family, she shared stories about QQ at school with me every day. My mother also called to say they had changed their strategy, learning from previous failures. She thought perhaps QQ wasn't suited for overbearing CEO novel plots. So she bought a pile of Petite Wife and Rough Man novels. Mother and daughter sat binge reading day and night. However, reality was completely contrary to their dreams. As a transfer student, before QQ arrived in class, she was highly anticipated by her classmates. In their imagination, the new student would surely be like those in novels, sweet, generous, gentle, with smooth black hair, large round eyes, and a full, delicate face. Of course, that was also the image QQ and her mother hoped for. But the moment QQ stepped into the classroom, the entire class fell silent. 3 seconds later, laughter erupted. The students here were not as polite as those in the Key High School. Mockery immediately followed. "Is that a monkey? She's going to kill me with cringe. The new student looks like a monkey from Mount Amay, both yellow and ugly. Oh my God, how can she be so short in high school? I bet she's not even 1.5 meters tall. I always thought our school uniform was beautiful, but now looking at her wearing it, it looks disgusting. Can anyone else smell that? A terrible fishy smell. I want to throw up." At these taunts, QQ's face flushed crimson all the way to her ears. Sometimes, I couldn't tell if she was angry or embarrassed, because she always had a look as if she had just suffered a great injustice. She blinked her slightly red eyes and began to introduce herself. "Hello everyone, my name is QQ Sue. You can call me QQ. It's a pleasure to be classmates with everyone. I hope to get a lot of help." Her piercing, childlike voice had just begun when the whole class burst into laughter again. A female student rolled her eyes and mimicked her. "Hello everyone, my name is QQ Sue. You can call me QQ. What is that sound? Is her brain underdeveloped? Why is her voice so strange?" Hearing this, QQ covered her face with her hands, giggling awkwardly and explaining, "I was born this way." Another voice called out, "Oh my god, this weird childlike voice is so creepy. Don't talk anymore, I want to puke." And so, while everyone else was uncomfortable, QQ happily walked into the classroom. On her first day transferring to school, the homeroom teacher announced that another transfer student, a male student with a rather eccentric personality, would join the class tomorrow. My mother called me to share this, visibly excited. This time it must be right. Both are transfer students. Two strangers in a new environment will rely on each other and find beautiful love. An eccentric male student and a sweet, gentle female student. QQ's beautiful love story is about to begin. The rough male lead has finally appeared. I just mumbled an acknowledgement on the phone and continued solving my problems. They didn't know that I had applied for overseas study. If nothing unexpected happened, I would leave next year. Then, everything related to them would no longer affect me. The new male student who transferred to QQ's class was named Jiang Hao. Although his dyed blonde hair drew attention, his personality was very violent, a typical bad boy student. I heard the reason he had to transfer schools was because two male students fought over a girl, and Jiang Hao stabbed the other guy, sending him to the hospital. His family used money to resolve the issue, then transferred him to this school. I didn't need to guess. My mother would certainly imagine a scenario of a bad boy and a good girl in a redeeming school romance. On the surface, it sounded very appealing, especially such an opposite-attract type of couple, which is very popular in stories. But reality is not a novel. In reality, bad boys like Jiang Hao are very cruel, and when fighting, they never hold back. Especially when their families are rich and powerful, they dare to do anything without hesitation. I wondered how much suffering QQ would have to endure to win over Jiang Hao. On the day Jiang Hao arrived at school, QQ was well prepared. She wore a pink dress and tied her hair in pigtails, looking extremely innocent. She placed a warm carton of fresh milk and 2 hot steamed buns on Jiang Hao's desk, just like in the novel plots she had read. Such boys often don't eat breakfast. After being with the female lead, they often suffer from stomach pains, then gradually recover thanks to the female lead's meticulous care. QQ eagerly awaited the novel's plot to unfold for her. She eagerly waited for Jiang Hao to arrive. He didn't show up for morning study. He still wasn't there by lunchtime. Only in the evening, when evening study class had begun, did Jiang Hao finally appear. When she returned to the classroom after dinner, QQ saw the breakfast she had meticulously prepared thrown into the trash can. She stood at the back door, looked up, and saw a blonde-haired male student sitting in the seat next to hers. QQ immediately put on an embarrassed expression and walked closer. Then, when Jiang Hao glanced at her indifferently, she asked with red eyes, "Jiang Hao, why did you throw away the breakfast I prepared for you? I know your family is well off, but you can't look down on poor students like me. You're being too much." This time, QQ's role was the adorable poor student. QQ's strange behavior, Jiang Hao was stunned. When he clearly saw her face, a curse echoed through the classroom. "What the hell is this? This face is truly bizarre." Jiang Hao glanced at QQ, then at the trash can as if realizing something and opened his mouth to mock her. "Who left that trash on my desk? Oh, it was you, you ugly thing. The food you brought isn't even as good as what my nanny eats at home. Never bring your trash to disgust me again. If I see you once, I'll hit you once." QQ stood frozen in place, tears streaming down her face. Then she stamped her foot in anger and shouted, "Jiang Hao, you're really too much." After saying that, she rushed out of the classroom. However, the scene of the male lead chasing after her, as in novels, did not happen. Instead, she collided with the patrolling disciplinary teacher. "QQ, it's evening study time now. Why aren't you in class, running around outside? It's only your second day transferring schools, and you're not even wearing your uniform. Do you think vocational schools have no rules? Go back to class and write a 1,000-word self-reflection essay. Read it aloud to the whole school during morning assembly tomorrow." Unbelievable. When QQ returned to the classroom, Jiang Hao had already changed seats. The reason was simple. QQ was ugly and stinky, and Jiang Hao found her disgusting, not wanting to sit with her. But QQ was completely immersed in her own novel. After returning to class, she ran to Jiang Hao again. Jiang Hao was playing games. QQ snatched his phone, put her hands on her hips, striking a pose she thought was cute, and said, "Jiang Hao, this is class time, you shouldn't be playing on your phone. Don't you feel guilty about your parents' hard work?" Jiang Hao angrily grabbed a book from his desk and threw it directly at Qiuqiu's face. Are you crazy? I've already changed seats and you still won't leave me alone. Whether I play on my phone or not, what does it have to do with you? Aren't you running around everywhere yourself? I'll say it again, if you keep interfering with my business, be careful, I'll deal with you. Qiu sniffled, looking incredibly wronged. My running around was also because I wanted to supervise your studies. I really am meddling. From now on, I won't care about you anymore, okay? Jiang Hao laughed angrily. He snatched his phone back. Just then the phone chimed, receiving a new message. Seeing the content, Jiang Hao's eyes suddenly flashed with mischief. Qiu, do you like controlling me? Qiu stared blankly at Jiang Hao, her eyes welling up with tears, slowly nodding. Jiang Hao curled his lips into a smile. Okay, I'll give you a chance. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll go to the billiard hall near school. If you find me, I'll come back to evening class. If you don't, then stay away from me from now on. Qiu blushed and pursed her lips, nodding lightly. Okay, we'll decide that. Qiu happily returned to her seat, completely unaware of Jiang Hao's mocking gaze. The next day, Qiu found Jiang Hao at the billiard hall near the school. As soon as she walked in, she saw a petite girl clinging to Jiang Hao. How, why won't you agree to be with me? Could it be that you still like that promiscuous woman who almost landed you in jail? Jiang Hao leisurely held his cue stick, wiping it with chalk while biting on a cigarette. This image perfectly matched the rebellious male lead from novels. I have someone I like. It's not Wen Nian, then who is it? Jiang Hao looked towards the door where Qiu was standing. He pointed his cue stick at her, a smirk appearing on his lips. My new desk mate. The whole group looked in the direction of the cue stick, saw Qiu, and burst out laughing. How, you'd rather choose her than me? You don't need to find someone this ugly to humiliate me. Are you saying I'm not even as good as her? Jiang Hao nodded. Not as good. He waved his hand, signaling Qiu. Qiu shyly walked towards Jiang Hao. How, I found you. Let's go back to evening class. Qiu's affectionate demeanor angered the tough girls watching. Jiang Hao put his arm around Qiu's shoulder and left the billiard hall. Upon returning to school, Qiu immediately texted mother to boast about her progress today. She also sent me a message, full of pride. Sister, if you had listened to mother earlier and followed the path of the gentle petite wife, you would also have a handsome, rich boyfriend like mine. She even secretly took a picture of Jiang Hao's back and uploaded it to social media with the caption, "The male lead from my novel has finally appeared." But Qiu didn't know that her life was also about to end. After evening classes, Jiang Hao didn't wait for Qiu and left. Qiu, immersed in her joy, didn't notice anything unusual. As usual, she walked home, passing through the shortcut alley. But this time, unlike every other day, a group of thugs was waiting for her in the alley. The leader was the tough girl Qiu had met at the billiard hall that afternoon. Qiu immediately placed herself into a novel plot. She didn't run away but acted strong like a resilient little flower, walking closer to the group. Standing in front of the tough girl, Qiu confidently said, "Even if you beat me today, Hao won't like you. On the contrary, he'll cherish me even more." But before her words finished, a resounding slap landed directly on her face. The tough girl didn't give Qiu a chance to fight back, grabbing her hair and slapping her face repeatedly. Only then did Qiu realize that something was wrong. Why weren't these people like those in novels, who would say a few words before acting? Why didn't Jiang Hao appear out of nowhere like a hero to save the beauty? Qiu was beaten without resistance. Due to her irregular eating habits, her body was malnourished and underdeveloped compared to her peers. She was easily knocked to the ground after just a few blows. From drinking too much milk for a long time, her blood had almost turned milky white. What she vomited was not fresh red blood, but foul-smelling milk. Seeing Qiu no longer moving, the tough girl smiled with satisfaction, pulled out her phone, and made a call on speakerphone. On the other end, Jiang Hao's voice echoed, "Done with her? Don't kill her, just teach her a lesson. She's been disgusting me these past few days." The tough girl replied, "Don't worry, Hao bro, I'm thorough with my work." At this moment, Qiu realized she had been tricked. She realized that novels were just novels and reality was still reality. When mother recounted the entire incident to me over the phone, I had already set foot in another country. After hearing Qiu's story, I immediately hung up. To this day, I still haven't told them that I went to study abroad. Leaving the airport, I removed my old SIM card and replaced it with a new number. At my new school, I lived a very busy life. I made many new friends, was admired by my professor, and was introduced to a friend's company for a part-time job to gain work experience. I thought I would never have anything to do with them again in this lifetime, but then I received a call from a friend. That friend said that Kiu had jumped from a building to commit suicide, and my mother had gone insane. After being beaten, Kiu seemed to come to her senses. One might say she was reborn. I logged into my old WeChat account and found many messages from Kiu. Initially, they were words of remorse. In my past life, I shouldn't have harmed you. Then came words of accusation. You knew being a gentle, petite wife was wrong, yet you didn't stop Mother and let her force me to become like that. My current predicament is all your fault. Reading those messages, I felt as if I had just escaped a nightmare. She always found a way to blame me, whether I intervened in her life or not. In my previous life, Kiu was an excellent student, the perfect child in everyone's eyes. Her biggest failure was only an unsuccessful confession. She didn't dare to blame others, so she turned to blame the person who treated her best, me. In this life, she paid the price, but even at the very end, she showed no remorse. She still blamed me for not helping her stay on the right path. If everything I did was wrong, then why shouldn't I choose a path that benefited myself? Giving up the urge to help others and respecting each person's destiny, that was the lesson I learned after dying once. Kiu's suicide was largely caused by her mother. After coming to her senses, Kiu wanted to rely on her memories from her past life to study hard and get into a good university, but her body wouldn't allow it. She wanted to live well in her remaining days, but her mother wouldn't let her be. She had gone insane. Kiu, don't be discouraged. The petite wife thing didn't work. We'll change strategies. Look how frail you are now. You're just like a sickly beauty female lead. From today on, you'll be a sickly beauty. We can win over a cold, restrained doctor or a cool male lead who is also a patient like you. The two of you will save each other, heal each other in the hospital. Just imagine how beautiful this love story will be. But this time, Kiu didn't listen to Mother. She screamed wildly, recounting her past life story to Mother. Disregarding the IV drip in her arm, she grabbed Mother's neck, yelling, "It's all your fault. If you hadn't forced me down the petite wife path, I wouldn't be in this situation today. I was clearly the top student in my grade. I could have gone to the best university. I could have had the brightest future. It's all your fault. Why don't you just die? Die. Kiu choked Mother until she fainted, then jumped from the hospital's rooftop. When she woke up and learned that Kiu had committed suicide, Mother completely collapsed. She couldn't believe that the daughter she had meticulously raised for over 10 years to become a petite wife had vanished like that. Her dream of the petite wife also vanished into thin air. She became blank, like a ghost wandering the streets. Kiu's story attracted media attention. The police quickly launched an investigation. The thugs who had beaten Kiu in the alley that night were all arrested. Jiang Hao, the mastermind, also did not escape legal punishment. This incident caused a huge sensation. No matter how wealthy Jiang Hao's family was, he couldn't escape justice. Hearing all these things from my friend, I said nothing, just remained silent and hung up. I stood under a maple tree, watching the dry leaves blown by the wind, then gently falling to the ground. The resentments from my past life also fell with those leaves, turning into dust. Next spring, the dry tree would sprout, and the barren tree would welcome spring.